Hey everyone, this is Rob. Let me get this light straight. There we go. Now I don't look so washed out. My name is Robin Graves, and this is the world according to Graves. Um, yeah, last week I said I wasn't going to be on unless something interesting happened. Um, Saturday morning, something very interesting happened. I was indisposed at the time till probably Monday. Uh, I had no internet connection. Didn't have any equipment, no way to take notes, anything. I was in the middle of nowhere. I was taking a vacation. And then Epstein died. Goes to show you what happens you take a vacation from everyday life for a few days. Anyway, Mike, Avengers Endgame. I loved it. I'm a big fan of the Avengers anyway. Call me a nerd, I don't care. Let me get a little sippage here and open this can. Here it is. No sound in the world like it. Oh, by the way, Pepsi, you lost out. I'm going for Coke now. Call me, guys. We could do something. I live in Atlanta, right where your home office is. I'm a hometown guy. Get this right here. Um, since Monday, I've been doing a lot of research, and with all the false bullshit that's been going around, and a lot of things being said, um, I have proven that if anything like this happens, give it a few days before you do research. I mean, all new liner notes, none of them are worth anything. So we're just going to see this 1, 2, 3, 7 pages of just talking points out the window. I had to redo this today. In fact, they're pretty much been going at this since about 7 this morning. Uh, I do want to say something to Mrs. Clinton. Um, I don't care who you are. Nobody has 56 friends who committed suicide. Okay? I'm not naming her as the one who was behind this. but, but. There's a lot of questions about his death, about Epstein's death. You know, we've all heard all the news reports. He committed suicide. He did this, did that. The FBI scoured his island, getting, for any information. Which is funny because when they arrested him the first time, they got all this information and everything, all the names and pictures of people, but nothing happened. Why? So now they arrested him again. They put him in the MCC facility in New York, and they go to search his little island he owns and his home on there, looking for more evidence. When they had all the evidence in the world when they raided his apartment, I have no faith in the FBI and the NYPD. I do have a very good friend who is former NYPD. But I will tell you, with any police department, I don't care who you are. The regular Joe on the street, cop, the one who wears the uniform and does a little beat, pay him a few $100s, they'll do anything you want them to. They're underpaid as it is. I have no faith that they're going to find anything other than very clean floors and the smell of bleach. I have a feeling that if there's any evidence they do find, somewhere down the line, it's going to be... Here's this again. Excuse me, people. I have the sneaky suspicion that evidence is going to be lost in the chain. There will be losses of major evidence. Mark my word. This is wanting to be swept under the carpet. And people like me, alternative news sources like me, we don't believe in sweeping anything under a carpet. I don't care if you're Democrat or Republican. You screw up, you screw up. Now, there's a lot of questions about his death. A lot. A couple of days before he died, he was actually, he was considered cooperating in naming names. That's what they wanted to keep him there for. He was a flight risk, they could control that, but they refused to give him bail, using the thing that he's a flight risk as an excuse. They wanted him to keep him there so he would name names. They thought that's the only reason he was in that jail. He actually said he's considering naming names. 2 days later, he's dead. Isn't that coincidental, people? That's very coincidental. He was found unconscious in his cell 3 weeks earlier. They try to say he was attempted suicide. There's some things said about this later on. Trying to say he was trying to attempt suicide. They put him on suicide watch. A week later, he was taken off. Who's the person who took him off and why? Who's the person that signed the paperwork? 2 days before his death, August 8th, I believe that was on a Thursday, wasn't it? Last Thursday, a week ago today. Documents were released for the first time implicating several top Democrats in his pedo sex ring. That's not something you're going to hear on the news, who they were. You're not going to find out they were Democrats, Republicans. I mean, right now they're trying to say that Trump is behind him because Trump was part of his pedo sex ring. He rode on his airplane once, back in 2002? Well, I've seen pictures. There's actual evidence and records of Trump flying with Epstein. Yes, he did. Yes, he did. But it wasn't on the Lolita Express. This was on a small Learjet that is so tiny you couldn't even get midgets to lap dance. So where they're talking about how Trump is responsible for his death because this, that, and the other, orange man bad, is bullshit. Pure and simple. Pure and simple. Being pushed by CNN and mainly MSNBC and NBC News. Yes, NBC, I saw your little report. It was bullshit. Pure and simple conjecture. That's all it was. Believe me, I scour the news for evidence on anything. I scour the news for just to write my liner notes. I scour the news just to make sure I get to the point. So NBC, you're just like CNN. You're fake news. See, where am I? I need a pen. There is so much crap here. You're gone. So yes, this works. Let's see, get rid of this because I've got a lot of stuff here and I don't want to lose my point. Get rid of that one and this one. Okay, now he's taken off suicide watch 2 weeks earlier before he died. Nobody has said who the shrink was that took him off suicide watch or why. The problem is, let me explain suicide watch, and this is directly from NYPD site explaining procedures. If somebody's on suicide watch, they do not take them off of suicide watch, period, as long as the situation that caused them to want to commit suicide still exists. Epstein's situation had not changed. He was still being held in jail for all of this stuff, that the pedo sex ring, all of this. He was still being held. That's what caused him to want to commit suicide, according to records. Oh, excuse me, some records said he tried to commit suicide. So why take him off suicide watch? Why? Whoever was that did that questioningly, I think they need to be questioned. Big time. You don't take a person off suicide watch in a situation that he was in, if that situation is what caused the suicide attempt. So, write that off. Cameras. This is the big one. This is what really. Oh God. This is some pretty condemning shit here. The cameras coincidentally malfunctioned in front of his cell. Now, originally they said that all cameras malfunctioned in there. All the CCTV cameras were malfunctioning. Then they turned and said just that one, that it didn't come on. It was blank. Then they turned and said that, and this is the official version now. The video footage from that camera was distorted beyond legibility. Why was that camera affected? Why? Nobody wants to answer that. Nobody wants to look into it, answer it, whatever. They don't want you to know anything. This whole thing stinks to high heaven. Excuse me. Getting over a slight cold again. Went camping over the weekend. It rained on us. Oh, God. Had a great time, though. So far, everything that has been questioned, the media is trying to tell you, oh, you're a conspiracy theorist. You're a conspiracy theorist. Is it conspiracy theory? Is it conspiracy theory to point out these things? See, I'm not saying who killed him. I have a very good idea who was behind it. Several people who were behind it. Especially one with a track record from hell. But it can't be proven yet. But there is a lot of stuff being pointed out right now that shows he did not commit suicide, and I'm going to get into those in a minute. The camera is malfunctioning. They won't answer that. In fact, when it was asked of certain individuals, those certain individuals changed the topic. They don't want to answer that. They can't answer that because it's either A, it will incriminate them, or B, it'll incriminate them. So they changed the subject. Moving on. Do you want to be in a prison or a holding facility, a county jail, with no security? Do you? Yeah, you're going to think, well, I can escape that. Yeah. But see, in the same jail, they're holding mass murderers. Do you want these people loose out there, killing on the inside of the jail? Do you? It's funny, it was only his camera that malfunctioned. Well, at least that's the story so far. Then this is really interesting. Then later reported cameras showed no guards had made any rounds. Hey folks, out there telling me the cameras are messed up, but the cameras showed this over here. How does that happen? How? Tell me. Oh, the cameras showed no the guards didn't make any rounds, but the cameras malfunctioned. Didn't show. It couldn't show the death of Epstein, but the guards made no rounds because the cameras showed it. What happened? Did the cameras go out conveniently just in time for Epstein's death? That's another question nobody will answer. Nobody wants to answer it. They can't answer it. So tell me, folks, out there, which was it? Did the cameras screw up? Or didn't they? Which one, choose your answer. This is, oh, wow. Now, I spoke to a friend of mine, who was a former NYPD officer, NYPD police officer. We spoke about this at length, about the procedures, of the police department and arrests that are made, that have been made, everything, over the years we've talked about it. This doesn't happen. This is not supposed to happen anywhere, especially on this level. Okay, this was a federal level. Okay, these people were being held on federal charges. This is interesting. One prison guard on this floor, on this floor, was not even a certified guard. Okay, how does that happen? What? So a guy is out there playing like he's a prison guard. He's not a guard, but he's playing like a prison guard. But he's not certified. But he's a prison guard, but he's not certified as one. No, I looked this up myself. I read that this morning, and my teeth had moved to the back of my brain keep me from screaming, because this is so stupid. Unless you're a prison guard, certified as a prison guard, you are not allowed in a prison to do that job. But one of the prison guards was not a certified guard. Does that make you go, that's interesting? Where did this guy come from? Why was he there? Excuse me, I have to get a drink here, a little sippage here. Okay. So, Coke, come talk to me. We can make a deal. Now, this is kind of interesting also. The guards forgot, quote unquote, forgot to check on Epstein. Yeah, they forgot a lot of things. They forgot that one of their guards was not a guard. It's, the reports are they slept and forgot to check on him. Why are these guards why do they have a job? I understand they worked several times overtime. I have worked a job for Encore Technologies as an engineer back in the, 90s, mid-90s, as an engineer for Encore Technologies. I worked 12-hour shifts 7 days a week for 6 months. I still didn't fall asleep at work. These people are professionally trained prison guards who decided they were just going to sleep and write paperwork, saying they checked on these people. Now, hold on. Before this goes any farther, aren't there cameras all in that building, all along the cells that will show the guards coming and checking on people, but they're going to sleep anyway, even though these cameras could show that they didn't check on them. But the cameras weren't working. But it showed that the guards weren't doing their jobs. But the cameras weren't working. You see the circular logic, this is going in? There's just some things that can't be answered because nobody wants to answer it. They're just throwing random answers out. They're trying to stay away from the main thing. And our liberal media has decided to accept it all as God's honest truth. To them, everything that's said is the gospel. If you say anything against it, like me, you're a conspiracy theorist. I don't think there's much of a conspiracy theory involved in any of this. This is another one. Now, you're going to say that you shouldn't trust this, but I kind of do, because a lot of their stories are very consistent with each other. There were reports from several inmates there of Epstein screaming the morning he died. Now, why would these people lie? Yes, they're inmates there. They're awaiting trial. They've committed crimes. But they all have the same story, that Epstein was screaming the morning he died. Now, if you hang yourself, why would you scream? Why? It's nearly impossible. It's very hard to, because of the constriction around the throat. Do any of you know? Does anybody out there besides me know what happens when a person is hung? How it constricts your throat. You can't get air out. That's how you die, is from suffocation and your vertebrae separating. That's if your neck is weak enough for the vertebrae to separate. Basically, when you die, when you hang yourself in that situation, you're not going to scream. Believe me, nothing's going to get out. Now, the MCC, where Epstein is being held, had not had a successful suicide in 40 years. They made sure of this. They went through proper precautions. This is not a prison. This is a holding facility for you to go, like a county jail. You're held there while you're on trial. Then after you're found guilty, then you go to a prison. It was not an actual prison. This was a county jail, it was like a county jail. It's a federal holding facility, excuse me. I know this whole thing has got me questioning everything. Holy crap. The only reason I know MCCs are federal holding facilities, I had to do research on them to find out some of this stuff. Just to verify some of this. Now, they had not had a successful suicide in 40 years because they went through proper procedures. People's on suicide watch, they don't come off suicide watch until the situation that caused their suicide attempt or makes them suicidal is over with. I.e., they leave and go somewhere else. You don't just throw somebody off suicide watch. That's the person who's, this was never publicized, never told. In fact, I think only the MCC knew that he was taken off suicide watch. It's funny, if there was an actual suicide attempt, why did they put him on suicide watch? Why did they take him off? Excuse me, I'm a little flabbergasted by this whole situation. The sheets they had are paper thin. They are designed to rip and tear, even bunched together. They're designed to rip and tear apart if you try to hang yourself. They've gone through a lot of precautions to make sure you don't die on their watch. This was not the Tombs. This was not Sing Sing. This wasn't some little county jail where it's state funded, and the state gives very little money to help anything there, much less pay the guards. In a federal facility like this, they care more for the prisoners than they do employees. Someone can knock all they want to. This makes me question everything. Now, Epstein said he was a victim of an attempted murder 3 weeks before his death. Okay. Then they turned around and said it was suicide and took him off suicide watch. So, was it an attempted murder or was it attempted suicide? Cat. That's the asshole. Now go away. There's a lot of inconsistencies here. A lot of inconsistencies in what they've reported and the way things were done. Procedure was broken. Excuse me, not broken. It was shattered across the board when it came to the Epstein case. Well, the minute Epstein got in there, I believe he became a marked man. Now, when I found out he was arrested and put in jail, me and several others got together. We were talking about this. Several other people that are involved in media like this, independent media. My producer. We all got, we've all talked about it. We all said he was going to die. We all knew he was going to die. We all knew that it was going to be listed as suicide. Yeah. Like the other 53 friends of Hillary Clinton's. We just didn't know when. When we heard he tried to commit suicide 3 weeks ago, we all knew it wasn't suicide. He didn't attempt suicide. When Saturday, a buddy of mine, Ron Bray, damn good friend of mine, we were out camping together for like a while. He notified me, told me Saturday morning. He got the update on his phone, news update that about the suicide. We both looked at each other and said, "Told you." It's not, it's too convenient. All the information so far has been coming out. 2 days before he died, all the documents naming names. He wanted to name names. He had said 2 days before he died, he is considering naming names because they'd be lenient on him to get him out. He'd be out of the jail. He could make bail. Is pretty much what this whole thing was coming to. Name names. People start getting arrested. He goes. He'd work a deal. Now this man had millions of dollars. You could buy a lot of freedom with millions of dollars. So why should he be worried? Well, the thing is, the names came out 2 days before he died, before he mentioned them. It got out. Somebody who wasn't a licensed as a prison guard was in there being a prison guard. People heard him screaming. The camera went out. He died. There's a lot of questions about his death, about the autopsy report, too. Epstein said he was a victim of an attempted suicide, attempted murder. Let's see, been harping on that about 5 minutes. Epstein had dirt on several globalist elites, and when he was mentioning names, that's what got him. He had dirt on so many people, so many people, so many Democrat lawmakers, globalist elites, people in power, rich and wealthy people. You did not go to one of his little parties if you were poor. You didn't go if you were homeless. You only went if you had millions and millions of dollars and wielded power. That's the only reason you. I mean, we're talking the Clintons, Prince Andrew, for Pete's sake, the royal family, went to his little sex soirees. You know, he kept pictures of people when they found they found CDs with of pictures with these people, with these girls, and their names were on the picture. He was extorting these people. I'm not sitting here taking up for Epstein by any means. I will never take up for somebody like him. But he had all these pictures and all the names and evidence. And if this stuff got out, these people's lives are ruined. He did this to control them. He did this as a form of blackmail. He knew what he was doing. And it backfired. That's why he was killed. It wasn't a suicide. These people have millions upon millions of dollars. They can orchestrate anything they want. Money talks, bullshit walks. You wave a few $1,000s in front of somebody's face, things get forgotten. Trust me. I know human nature very well. I used to operate using human nature in the wrestling world. Believe me, anything can happen for a few dollars. Let's see, get rid of this. And I just incriminated myself, but who gives a rat's ass? Okay, now, Epstein was not suicidal according to medical professionals. Wait, you're not suicidal, but you're put on suicide watch for a week. But you're not suicidal, but you're put on suicide watch for a week, but you're not suicidal. That's another question that needs to be answered. Nor was he even, if he was on suicide watch, you're kept on suicide watch. He was not even issued the paper sheets that are given to people on suicide watch. That never happened. He kept the regular sheets that he was issued to begin with. Now, given these sheets are specially made, they're thin, they're paper thin. They are designed that very much stress is put on them. Even when they're wadded up and pulled, they will rip to pieces. They're specially made for that. That's how the MCC has kept people from committing suicide for 40 years. They're not able to hang themselves. They are not allowed to have sharp objects, just like in any other jail. You're not allowed to have anything that could be dangerous to yourself or to others. So, yeah, the hanging sheet thing, the way he did it, he would actually have to get on his knees on his bunk to hang himself. That's what's really odd about this whole matter. It's, like I said, a lot of questions, a lot of things about Mr. Epstein. Going a little overtime here. I don't care. We're going to get through this here. I worked hard to get the liner notes for this. Are you ready for this one? Oh my. His autopsy showed broken bones in his neck, common in strangulation deaths, not in hanging deaths. Now, hold on. I had to take a lot of anatomy in the past for a job I had. Men have a hyoid bone in their neck. It's by their Adam's apple. It's almost right upon it. That's one of the reasons that men have a deeper voice than women, is due to this bone. Oftentimes hanging will break this bone if you're elderly or you show massive bone density loss. He wasn't elderly, and if he had bone density loss, he wouldn't be walking at this age. Because bone density loss is congenital. Or starts early in life. Watch anybody with bone density loss. They are very careful how they walk, where they walk. They don't take chances. They fall. They can break several bones. Mr. Glass and Unbreakable had bone density loss from the time he was born. That's what bone density loss does to you. His hyoid bone was not broken from hanging. Official reports are that and several other bones in his neck were broken from strangulation. The autopsy report disproves the media's insistence on the fact that he committed suicide. But physically, the damage does not fit hanging. And I would trust an autopsy report over the media any day of the week. Now, if it did match hanging, I would drop this. I would have dropped this in a heartbeat and went and did. I would have given you guys some socio-political bullshit. Or not even been on this week because, well, this week's really crazy for me. But more evidence is showing he was murdered. Now to find out who all was involved. A, the new prison, the guy that was there that wasn't really a prison guard. B, what does the video show? Why was it just his camera? Why the cameras show all this other stuff, but the cameras are broke? They weren't working. Why weren't they fixed? Why weren't they fixed when they were found out to be non-functioning? How many cameras were there? Oh, geez, the one in front of his cell? Or was it all of them, but they showed the guards weren't doing the rounds like they were supposed to, so evidently the cameras were working, weren't they? Why was the camera on his cell, the video from it, garbled beyond legibility at the moment of his death? Why? Why did people hear him screaming while the video was messed up at the moment of his death? What is going on, folks? What is the media not telling us? What are the officials not telling us? What is being kept from us? I'll tell you what's being kept from us. The fact he was murdered because he had so much dirt on so many globalists, so many Democrat lawmakers, so many movers and shakers, people with millions upon millions of dollars who can buy anything and silence anyone they want to without anybody ever noticing that money's missing because it's a drop in a bucket to them. Yeah. Let's get rid of this one. I got one more to tell you. The actual bed sheets of the MCC facility are paper thin anyway, for safety reasons, and contribute to the 40-year negative suicide rate in that facility. Why is he one of the most controversial and most known prisoners that's been there, other than El Chapo, who nothing ever happened to him? Why was Epstein killed? Why did he commit suicide when everything they did stopped people from committing suicide? It's because the man was murdered, that's why. Plain and simple. I'm not going to say it's Hillary Clinton who did it. I can't rightfully say she was behind it, but her track record makes me think she might be involved. There's a lot of other people involved. Prince Andrew. You don't cross the Clintons. You don't cross the royal family. He crossed both. So, let's take a look at track records of the royal family and the Clintons. Let's take a look at their track records. Everybody who had dirt on the Clintons, everybody who had dirt on the Clintons have died. Everybody who wanted to turn against them have died. All of them were suicide, no matter how ridiculous. I remember back in the, 2003, 2004, back when when they were being investigated, and people who had evidence on them, witnesses to things they did, several within a month's period, committed suicide. They felt so much remorse. One actually supposedly parked his car and fell asleep on a railroad crossing right before the train hit him. Another one, and this is, you can look this up, you can look it up. One was shot twice in the back of the head. Before he's ever seen by a coroner, his death certificate was written up as suicide. Yeah. Every one of these people committed suicide, supposedly. Guy was shot in the face with a shotgun, but the shotgun was across the room. It's, the track record is very damning. Looks at the royal family. They didn't like Princess Diana. She wasn't cultured enough for them. Conveniently killed. So, anyway, guys, I'm going over my time. I got to get this up and get busy with some things. I got a lot of things I got to do today. Every one of you out there, I want to let you know, leave a like and subscribe when, at the bottom here. It does my channel good. It helps the algorithm. Let's try to change this up a little bit instead of me being so obscure. Let's not go viral. Let's just say, actually show that you watched this. Leave a comment. It does the channel good. You guys take care of yourselves. I love every one of you that watches. You all mean the world to me. I'll talk to you guys later. I'm Robin Graves. This has been The World According to Graves, and I will catch you next time. Take care.